Hello and welcome. Today I want to talk about some EDC pen light combos that I use. I like pen light combos because they allow me to write and they also allow me to see what I'm writing in most cases, and they double up as a backup or secondary light for use. A lot of these pen lights are still available on the market. Some of them are not made anymore and you will have a hard time finding them except for probably on aftermarket sites like eBay. Here on the table we have several different lights here and pen combos. And if you notice, we do have the Victorinox type of multi-tools here on the table, and there's a reason for that. So starting from left to right, top to bottom, we have the Victorinox Midnight Mini Champ, and we have the Victorinox Cyber Tool Light with the plus scales in it. Here we have the Refine P1. This is grade 5 titanium pen light with a 10180 battery inside of it and a light at the top here, and also a refillable Lamy M22 ink insert. This is my primary tool for my wallet. We have a Wooten TP10, and this is also a 10180 battery powder light with a light at the top as well with a turn twist activation, a carbide tip, and a refillable ink insert as well. Next to it we have the Claris TP20 in titanium. This also is a 10180 battery powder light with a turn twist activation as well, and a refillable type of insert cartridge inside with a carbide tip as well. Next up we have the O-Pen 2 in original, and this is aluminum. And then we have the O-Pen 2 in copper. And then next to that we have the O-Pen Pro, or as I like to call it, the O-Pen 2 Pro. It's really the O-Pen Pro, and it's an upgrade on these previous two models. So we have a titanium pen here, a aluminum one, a titanium pen, aluminum, copper, and aluminum. So let's start with, why do I have Victorinox multi-tools on the table with my pen light combos? Well, that's because Victorinox makes some of their multi-tools include a light and a pen in it. And in this particular model, in the scales, we have a small replaceable ink refillable cartridge for writing, so a pen that slides out via this little sliding notch here, and you can use this as a backup tool. I've used this to write on checks before in a pinch, and due to its size, it's very convenient. Now the pen is not going to write paragraphs upon paragraphs of written material. It's just there to sign a check real quick, or as a backup option, or to jot down a note in an emergency or some sort of situation like that. So it's a very backup type of pen to have. On the other side, we also have a similar feature, which is a LED light. This is the later module of the LED light on the Midnight Mini Champ. The originals came with a red LED, and this is a fairly newer version, and it uses a slightly different battery inside here, a coin cell battery. I believe these are the 3 or 1.5 volt ones, or I can't remember the exact voltage, but they might not be the 1.5 volt ones. Basically, they use coin cell batteries, and you can use it as a temporary light to light up your path. They are bright enough in pitch black dark to help you locate things like a keyhole or something like that. So you can also use this to write in the dark by holding down the light and writing down. So I'm not going to go over through the other tools in the Midnight Mini Champ, as I've talked about this tool a lot in previous videos, but just be aware that Victorinox has a option like this, or the Signature Light, or the Midnight Manager, for example. There's other types of tools different than this one that also include a light and a pen in it. Next up is the Cyber Tool Light. This is from their light modules and light lineups, the LITE modules that they call it, with their 91mm platforms. Now, this has what they call the plus scales, so you find this on the Swiss Champ and other non-light modules, but for this particular module they do include a plus scales like they do with the Huntsman Light. And what that means is, in the plus scales they have an extra slot for a pressurized ballpoint pen, so you can also write in a pinch with this, and obviously it's much larger than the pen inside of the Midnight Mini Champ, so you get a longer runtime with the pen. You can buy the ink refills a little bit more readily available. Now this has a light module inside of it that runs off of coin cell batteries. And so that being said, this counts as a pen light tool. So I can still write and see in the dark of what I'm writing with the pen light here. So that's why I kind of included it in this lineup. It's a bit of a stretch, yes, of course, but it is a multi-tool nonetheless, and it does include writing and lighting options, which is what I'm looking for when I'm carrying my EDC tools personally. Now we're going to get to the more traditional type of pen lights. So this is the Refine P1. It's been out of service for a number of years now. They don't make it anymore, unfortunately. I did speak with the owner at one point. They said they were coming out with a second version. They never did, which is unfortunate, but I do like this smaller profile type of pen light, which is smaller than these. It has a slightly thicker circumference, but I'm okay with that. But it uses a replaceable ink insert refill on it, and it has 2 step modes on their light module, as you can see. So, and it also features a 10180 battery in it as well. And this can also detach off the pen, which means you can write in the dark if you want to and still see what you're writing. So that's why I like this. This is particularly my favorite type of pen light, although I'm not a fan of the UI personally, but that is pretty much the Refine P1, a grade 5 titanium pen light, and a good pocketable size. Moving along is my most recent acquisition as of last year. This is the Wubin TB10. I did a review on this. It's a great little pen light combo. It uses, again, a 10180 battery. It has pretty much a similar thrower and LED inside of it to different modes, so you can kind of control how much you drain out of the battery. And you can also, again, take this off and switch to the writing side here, which screws into this module, or you can keep it separate and write again in the dark with 2 elements, the writing element and the lighting element. So on the front is a carbide tip for breaking glass, which I don't particularly like using personally, but it is there as an option. So there's the Wubin TP10. Next up, similar to the Wubin TP10, is the Clarus TP20 in titanium. Again, this has a 10180 battery compartment here, which you can take out and replace, and it has a similar twist function where you have a low and a high, which is also micro USB rechargeable. I didn't go over that with the past 2 other pens, but they all have micro USB charging ports in them where you can charge the 10180 batteries inside of them as well if you don't want to charge them externally. For example, if we take the Wubin TP10, it's going to be similar to the TP20 and also to the Refine P1. You unscrew the head a little bit and you can access the port here. They're all going to be similar ports in both of these, so I'm not going to go over all of them at once, but you get the idea. You can put a micro USB cable in there and charge it up. So that is a nice feature of these particular 3 items here on the table. And once again, this one is a little bit different than this in that the written device is covered up by this cap here, which has the carbide tip for breaking glass. Unscrew it and you get your writing type of element, and then you can unscrew this and replace the ink cartridge inside of it. So all these, you can replace the ink cartridges with either the proprietary ones, or you can do a makeshift one from a Bic ballpoint pen if you wanted to with some of them. I've seen it done, or you can get a 3D printed type of adapter for them depending on the model. So those are the 10180 battery type of pen lights, which I've divided here. Next, we have the internal light or internal battery operated lights, meaning they have a lithium ion battery inside of it as well. This is the original OPEN 2, and this is a L-bolt style actuation type of pen, much like the Refine P1. You can access the writing cartridge that way. And I have the cap on here. This cap comes with the copper version of the OPEN 2, but in this particular case I put it on here because this one does not have a module for locking out the UI, meaning if you push the button, light goes on, drains. So that's kind of a bummer in my opinion, but this has more lighting modes in it. So the UI is a little bit better than the turn twist style, which I prefer button actuation personally. Turn it off 1 click, double click from off, it goes to high mode. So fairly straightforward. And this does disconnect to reveal a USB-C charging port as well. All these other OPEN 2 or the OPEN Pro have a USB-C charging port here in the bottom, which you can unscrew. And once again, you can light up what you're writing with the pen. So that's fairly nice and unique. And this is the first run of their OPEN 2 models, which I got early on. So definitely a nice little EDC pen like combo. It is gel ink, which I do prefer. And you can get ballpoint pen ink inserts for it as well, but I prefer gel personally. Moving along, we have the OPEN 2 in copper. Same thing with this, only the exception is if I push this button, it does not turn on, meaning this features a UI lockout mode, which is nice. Simply hold this down for 2+ seconds and then it will turn on and engage. You can double click, same UI function. It comes apart the same way. You can click, hold down, and it'll turn off and lock out. So that is the main difference between the OPEN 2 and the OPEN 2 in copper. Definitely an upgrade right there that they added to it. And then finally, we have the O Pen Pro. Now this one functions a little bit differently. There's no button on top, but however, there's a third feature, which is a laser. To access it, you simply push up on the bolt and hold down, and now we have a laser function in addition to having a lighting function. Turn it off, you push once, and you disengage the UI. To engage the light, you push up once quickly, and it engages the UI. And then you can scroll around by holding down on it, and you can see the different various lighting methods. Now, it's important to note on the O Pen Pro, the actual light is on the clip itself, whereas the originals, they're on the actual main unit. What this means is I can clip this in my pocket and turn this on, and then I have a front-facing light from my pocket or my pocket protector, which I do wear at work. And it is an incredibly convenient way of seeing hands-free in front of me. So that is a nice feature of the O Pen Pro. Now, I personally prefer the diffuser and TIR optic of the older ones personally, as they don't have as much artifacts as the newer one does, and the LED is a little bit brighter and it shines a little bit more in terms of the candela and brightness output. So once again, this also can unscrew, and you can also charge it up via the USB-C charging port. And it has that button for actuating the light on the bottom there, in case you cannot find it on the top. And once again, you can replace the inserts with this by opening the front up of any of these O Pens and then replacing the ink inserts. You can buy the ink inserts on their website, or if you get savvy enough, you can kind of cut a Bic Pen one from a dollar store pack and try to finagle it in there. It can work. I've seen it work before. Or you can get a 3D printed accessory that can fit in these particular models. So those are the pens that I have. I do have a piece of paper which I'll write on in a moment here to show you how they write. Let's go ahead and set these to the side and just do a little test on all these. Let's do the Midnight Mini Champ. So that is the Midnight Mini Champ. Again, it's not made for writing paragraphs. It's just there as a backup tool. Let's go ahead and take the ballpoint pressurized pen out of the Cyber Tool and write this down. Now there's a way to stick this in the back against the hook and write with it with an extension, but we won't do that. And also for the Midnight Mini Champ, but we're not going to show that for this purpose in demo. So that's the Cyber Tool Light. Let's go ahead with the Refine P1. Okay, and let's go ahead and get the Wubin TP10. This one feels the best so far out of the writing pens. And then we get the TP20 here. This one feels decent as well. Then finally on to the O Pen 2. And that is our gel. Writes a little bit better. I like laying down ink like that. And again, another gel one for the O Pen 2 in copper. And finally, we have the O Pen Pro, and this is ballpoint. So the ink is a little bit different on it. And that is our different variations. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but I'll get a close-up of that later on to show you. And those are the pen light combos that I have and use. I have variation of each one in my kits usually, and they do come in handy as either a primary or in some cases a secondary writing tool. That's all I have to say. Thanks for watching and enjoy your day.